Live now. Thank you. Firstly, thank you, councillors and staff tonight to the Finance and Planning meeting of 14th of May. And I'd like to acknowledge our new CEO, Peter Kane, that's his first Finance and Planning Committee meeting. So welcome, Peter. Thank you. It's great to have you on board. We'll move on. We, the Benalla City Council, acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and to the elders from other communities who may be here today. I'll ask for any apologies. Nil apologies. I noticed we've got Nathan Soliday zooming in tonight. I don't think he's feeling too well, so it's good to see him on the show rather than present in the chambers. Thanks, Nathan. And please, can you put your hand up if you need to? You need to be noticed because it's difficult at times when we're having a conversation. We go around the table asking councillors to speak, and I often omit to look at people on the teams. So please don't just click that little tiny button in the corner that I can't see. But please put your hand up and we'll get around you as quick as possible. Thank you. So no apologies. We'll go to governance matters. The committee meeting is conducted in accordance with the Local Government Act 2020 and the Benalla Rural City Governance Rules of 2020. I'll just go through the headlines because I think every councillor and our community know what the rules are now. The public submissions, when and where to report those, and to talk to Jess if you want an issue brought up. Of course, everybody knows now that the meetings are recorded, and behaviour. Everybody knows what's expected in the behaviour camp. Disclose the conflict of interest. I'll just quickly run around the room. Has any councillor's got a conflict of interest later on? I don't want to disclose now. Councillor Justin King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do in relation to item 3, Capital Works Program Update as of 31 March 2025. Mr. Chair, there are 2 dot points in that. The planning and design work continuing for the Benalla Indoor Recreation Centre redevelopment project. I have a material conflict of interest in relation to that. A relative owns a business in close proximity to one of the 3 sites being considered. So I will be vacating as a result of that, as well as further down on that same report, works tender for the Midland Highway footpath to Equestrian Precinct, North Benalla Shared Path. I have a general conflict of interest in relation to that as a relative put in a submission in relation to that project. So for that entire report, Mr. Chair, I will vacate the room.
Thank you, Councillor King. If there's no other councillors, I'm a councillor. Holiday, no, he's okay. We'll just move on. Confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. Can I have someone move that, please? Councillor King and Councillor Law. If there's no discussion on that, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Barry, thank you. Our first item of business tonight is item number 1, which is the financial report for the quarter ended 31st of March 2025. Thank you, Kathy. And I would think that the report has been read by everybody. So, yeah, thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Happy to report on the end of quarter 3. It very much aligns with the data that's been put forward for our forecast result as in the budget for 25-26 post-budget. So people are fairly familiar with this. At the end of 31st of March, we had a surplus of 13.3 million with a revenue of 39.7 million, expenses of 26.4. We were in a positive situation for 6.7 million for the revenue, and we had also reduced expenses of 2.03 million, which gave us an overall impact of 8.7 in the positive. There are several notes on the variances. The highlights I will just bring out is the additional grant funds that we received for 1.379 million, which were national disaster funds, funding, financial assistance grants, and several other smaller grants, which has resulted in us being in a positive situation. And also some great capital grants, which were 1.5 million higher. Roads recovery, which we always like spending on roads, 850,000, black spot funding 124,000, and the finalising of the Banana Foreshore and Splash Park works package of 176,000. Probably on page 9 of the report, the contributions were favourable, and again, I've spoken about this as part of the budget forecast for the 24-25 year, that we would have a higher result because of the developer contributions, with 3.5 million overall sitting as favourable contributions. Of that, 3.269 are roads, bridges, drains, footpaths, as a result of subdivisions being finalised and the developers' contributions come towards council, which improves our balance sheet and does get reported through our income and expenditure operating statement, which does result in us having a positive result. There's quite a lot of detail in the report. One of the other highlights is our capital programs, that we had an original budget of 11 million. We're forecasting a 9 million spend, and at the end of March we were at 4.4 and nearly 4.5 spend. So we were underspent by 3.6, or you could say we still had money in the bank at that time. The capital works programs outlined in the next, later in the agenda, the next two items. So overall, I'm happy to report that our forecast position is positive, and we've placed that in for our budget for the next 25-26 proposed outcomes. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions for Kathy Wilson? Yep. Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Chair. I think you answered my question already, Kathy, but I noted read the report that that projected surplus is in a significantly better position than previously forecast, and presumably that will carry through to questions on our bottom line for 25-26. Thank you.
Looking around for other councillors, any questions to ask Kathy?
Oh, thank you, Chair.
If there's no more questions, there's a recommend. Sorry,
No, happy to move it.
you're moving it. There's a recommendation on page 11. The recommendation that the report be noted. Moved councillor Hearn, seconded councillor Gunnar-Ratney. Would you like to speak, councillor Hearn?
Just to say that it's a very thorough report as per usual. Thank you, Kathy, and that it's good to see that and favours the difference.
Councillor Gunnar-Ratney, would you like to speak?
Well, just to thank for the report. It's very detailed and self-explanatory, and thank you for the explanation as well in your presentation. So I'll answer the question. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Hearn. Any other councillors that want to speak? If there's not, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? Motion is passed. Very. Thank you, Kathy, and don't go away because you've got item number 2 as well. Finance Department activity report for the quarter ended the 31st of March. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. The Finance Department has been working on a number of items, including the budget, but the highlights of this report, I'm happy to say, is the claims for national disaster events have been rolling through with a lot of work from the Assets and Infrastructure team in assessing claims from our October 22 disaster. And you'll see on page 13 below with the sundry debtors that we were, with the number of items like total owing $5.5 million for claims, and only in the last few days have we come through to be able to assess them worth up to an even line on those. So that was a very big consideration for where we're going to be out of pocket beyond what we thought. We've spent the money already. We received fabulous $4 million from the National Disaster Fund as a prepayment, but we had to align our claims to ensure we didn't owe any more back. So that's our good news report from here. The other item that I'll just highlight is that we do have a considerable cash position at the moment because we have a number of outstanding capital programs that we have to deliver. And we are receiving not bad interest rates, as you'll see on page 40. But I do anticipate that our cash position will go down in the next financial year when we deliver the capital programs appropriately. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Questions for Kathy, please? Councillor King.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Kathy, just in relation to those investments held, I see a few of those maturity dates are coming around in April and June, May and June and August. Are we going to do some shopping when it comes to that, or are we looking to stay with those current institutions?
So we have a quite stringent investment policy that makes us distribute our investments across a number of banks. We're not allowed to be exposed totally to the highest and only one location. But every time we reinvest, we do out to market. We get better rates for 6-month investments. So we're just having a discussion at the moment as to what our capital program, which is quite big for next year, will mean for drawdowns. And so we go out every time and compare the rates.
Yeah.
It's not just rollover.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors would like to? If there's not, there's a recommendation on page 16. They have a mover, please. Councillor Blore and Councillor Murphy. Would you like to speak, Councillor Blore?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the one significant question I had, again, was answered by Kathy. That was the question of our natural disaster grant repayment. So she has already answered that. With that proviso, I'm very happy to move that this report be accepted.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy, would you like to speak?
Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any other councillors who like to speak, please? If there's not, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? All those against? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, item number 3. Thanks, Matty. Thanks very much. Item number 3 is the Capital Works Program update as at the 31st of March. Welcome, Adrian. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr Chair. The report presents an update on the Capital Works Program as of the 31st of March this year, 2025. As part of the discussion, I might just go through some of the highlights. The design and planning nearing completion for the Benalla Art Gallery redevelopment project, with procurement expected to commence in April this year. The planning and design, we're continuing with the Benalla Indoor Recreation Centre redevelopment project. The design finalised for the Link Island Bridge replacement, works to be tendered and constructed by the end of June 2025. Construction commenced on the culvert upgrade at Webb Road, Malaby. The gravel road resheeting program, 80% complete during this period. The road sealing program also 80% complete during this period. I know Kathy mentioned the funding due to our disasters in recent years, and council during that period was continuing to liaise with the DRFA representatives in relation to all events from January 2022 through to October 2023 to ensure that the asset recovery and restoration works are undertaken within the established guidelines and timeframes. Kathy did highlight some of the good news there. The financial implications, the Capital Works Projects Program resulted in a quarter ending on the 31st of March, an expenditure of $4.425 million, which was $3.6 million less than the budgeted expenditure of $808, detailed in the table on page 19. If I can refer to our project status table, again, just some highlights, drainage strategy. Works have started, works alongside the Deaker land on Sydney Road have been completed, with works relating to the Illy Street and Racecourse Road, as well as works clearing and regrading of our West Main Drain commencing in May. The Benalla Indoor Recreation Centre roof renewal project due to commence in May. The Benalla Art Gallery redevelopment procurement process has commenced with the EOI going out. A couple of waste management projects, the rehabilitation of stage 1 and the rehabilitation of stage 2A being deferred to 25-26. The pump track design and construction will commence in May 2025. And one particular project that we're quite proud of is the All Abilities Playground in McCullough Street that has now been completed. I'll take the councillors back to page 20 and the recommendation of the report be noted.
Thank you, Adrian. Councillors, questions, please. I don't know, is say Madam Mayor or Councillor?
Whatever you please, it doesn't worry me at all. Thanks, Mr. Chair, through you. Adrian, how's the project with the Link Island Bridge progressing?
If I may, through the chair, on target, is expected to be finished predominantly by the end of June 2025. The only thing that may hold us up is the sealing of the approaches to the bridge. However, our intention is to open the bridge and so that people can still access through to Link Island. We may still be able to seal it, weather depending. I'll rephrase that, temperature depending.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Boyd, if you've got a question?
I do, thank you, Chair. Actually, on the table of projects, again, the community notice boards and community signage projects, can you just give a little bit more information about that?
Yeah, I think they've come to a bit of a standstill, so there's still a little bit more work to be done on those. Not too sure on the exact status at this stage.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Tolliday, did you have a question or? No, a question. If there's no more questions from the chair, Adrian, thank you very much for that appendix 1. It just saves so much ringing up and interface with staff and with yourself, for the CEO. It just shows you where things are, and it's a great tool to have. Well done. And I know it obviously would take a lot of time to put together. So, but it just answers so many questions when ratepayers ring us up as individual councillors, and we can look at that sheet and say this is what's going on. So well done. I'm going to ask for a mover. The recommendation is on page 20. Can I have the report to be noted? Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hearn and Councillor Gunnar. Shall I speak, Councillor?
Just to say that it's a great report. It's good to see that we're nearly complete our gravel sheeting and resheeting and gravel roads, considering with a bit of luck we might get some rain in the next month, maybe.
Councillor Gunnar, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, just to thank Adrian and the team for their great work and also for the great report. It explains everything like you highlighted, Chair, that I think it's been very helpful and everything is very detailed. And thank you.
Thank you. Councillor, did you want to speak?
If I may.
Sorry, you're a long way from me from here. So I'm not used to it. Thank you.
Why is louder? Thank you, Chair. I support the Movement and Seconders comments, and I note the fact that that looks like we'll save money on the Link Island Bridge from the original budget, so there's yet another bonus.
Thank you. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? It's carried.
Somebody get,
Councillor Casper,
excuse me, somebody go and get councillor.
sorry about that. We're getting late.
You know, take the time.
Apologies. Either warm in here or freezing.
It's pretty nice to feeling in the hot chair.
Thank you, councillor King. That was carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sorry, I never forgot about you. It was just that councillor Hearn brought it to my attention. Thank you. We'll move on with item number 4. The Assets and Infrastructure Department Activity Report for the quarter ended 31st of March. Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Another busy quarter for us. The report presents the activities of the Assets and Infrastructure Department for the quarter ending 31st of March 2025. Some of the highlights in operations: we completed grading of 191 kilometres of gravel roads, replaced over 60 square metres of footpath due to intervention levels. Within the parks and gardens and open spaces, carried out routine tree pruning maintenance, carried out routine irrigation maintenance, carried out playground maintenance, undertook the painting of street side furniture, including dining pod in the CBD. Commenced pergola renovations in Bridge Street and Carrier Street, Benalla. Under the waste portfolio, the development of the draft Benalla Rural City Landfill Master Plan has commenced. The EPA quarterly levy return audit and notice for EPA licence audit due in April 2025. We've commenced the tender process for the purchase of a telehandler for the bulk haul loading of the curbside recyclables. I'll also highlight, maybe not, I won't mention the Burke, sorry. In review to the pathways to the future shared path, remaining priorities from the strategy have been identified and the majority expected to be delivered in 2024-2025 before review of that strategy. In relation to the Benalla Rural City Council drainage strategy, priority projects from the strategy identified and works have commenced and will continue during May 2025. We'll highlight the disposal arrangements for the environmental sustainable disposal of curbside collected food organics and garden organics. New contract with Rural City of Wangaratta for the disposal of curbside collection food organics and garden organics has been executed. Asset management, proud to say the recruitment of the asset management officer completed and the new officer is due to commence in June 2025. And the operating budget result for the period ending 31st of March 2025, the table is highlighted on page 25. I'll refer to the recommendation on page 26. That's the report.
Thanks, Adrian. Any questions for Adrian, please? Must have been thorough. Oh, councillor.
No, I'm happy to move that.
You must have been very thorough with your report, Adrian.
Good other version.
You have a question?
I did,
Thank you.
sorry, Chair, I have it high enough again. Just one, Adrian, on the street lighting question. One of the things that has come up at our safety and local safety and traffic committee is the question of the intersection at the access of the golf club and the problem there. I'd assume that street lighting on the Midland Highway is not our responsibility, but can you confirm that?
If I may, through the chair, that's correct. It is referred to the Department of Transport and Planning. it has been a topic that has been discussed at our local safety and traffic liaison committee, so the department are well aware of it.
Thank you, councillor Paul. If there's no more questions, councillor King, are you willing to move it and move the recommendation? And councillor Merkel, you'll second it? Would you like to speak, councillor King?
Only to say it's a great report. Thank you, Adrian. Very thorough. And was it all that work done with our footpaths on page 21? Great to see. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Merkel.
Nothing.
Thank you. Other councillors would like to speak? If it's not, there's a recommendation, as Adrian said, on page 26. I'm going to put it up to the vote, please. All those in favour, all those against? Thank you. Once again, it was unanimously. Okay, thank you, Adrian. Item number 5. Economic Development Sustainability Department Activity Report for the quarter ended 31st of March 2025. Courtney Norton. Thank you, Courtney.
I'll take the report as read and highlight a few key things, starting with the funding application put in for the Stream 1 Community Development Fund, which was successful. $500,000 for a project manager to manage that project. The second thing to highlight is the Benalla State of Play business survey was conducted in January. The survey received responses from accommodation, food services, education, training and marketing sections. Some of the areas of concern were skills shortage, especially soft skills, and the cost of living impact that has mental health repercussions. Moving over to our first event for the year was the Australia Day celebrations. We actually had a change of location this year for the Australia Day celebrations to the Benalla Town Hall. That went really well from all reports, and during that ceremony we had 5 new citizens welcomed, and we honoured 9 outstanding locals for the awards, and we had over 120 attendees enjoy the live music and entertainment. The cinema for the quarter has been performing well, with the highest number of attendance during that period with 1,389. The tourism team supported the 35th Women on Farms gathering that was held in Benalla at the Visitor Information Centre. It's the first time in 20 years that this event was held in Benalla, with 110 people attending. The art gallery for the quarter welcomed over 20,000 exhibitor and visitors and staged 30 public and education programs with 711 participants. The Benalla Art Gallery also coordinated a whole of collection re-evaluation for February 2025 by Simon Story, and the re-evaluation amount was over $33 million. The art gallery has employed Grimway Centre for Cultural Materials Conservation to progress the repairs to the Benalla ceramic mural. Works include repairs and fabrication of new tiles, bricks, ceramic units to replace damage and loss. The works are the assessment has actually just started, with the works expected to be completed by the end of October. The council has been successful in securing grant funding for a battery storage installation at the library as part of the round 2 Victorian Government's neighbourhood program. I feel like I missed a page. There's a recommendation on page 34 that the report.
Thank you, Courtney. There's always plenty going on in your department. Councillors, questions, please. Councillor Burke.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a question around the cinema. I'm assuming the figures dropped in March because it's out of school holidays, but
Can you confirm, do they decrease overall? A lot? So through the chair, it really depends on what's on. So depending on what movies are out and what we get coming out. So generally school holidays, we do have higher attendance. But yeah, it really depends.
Councillor Tolliday, you had a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. My question is regarding the cinema as well. I see that in this period we've had a lot more patronage since this time in the previous year, but we also have a $68,000 positive variance for the cinema as well. Would most of that be because of the kiosk sales for the splash park in the summer period, or is most of that through box office revenue? It's just a very positive variance. It's good to see.
Yeah, so through the chair, that's exactly what it is we've actually sold a lot more tickets during the school holiday program in January, especially. And also, yeah, the use of the kiosk has definitely supported income.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you for that. Yeah, definitely looks like the move was the right thing for the cinema, so that's good to see.
Thank you. Is there any more questions, councillors? If there's not, there's a recommendation on page 34 that the report be noted. Will I have someone move that? Councillor Gunnar-Ratney. Seconded, Councillor Hearn. Would you like to speak, Councillor Gunnar-Ratney?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you for the report, Courtney. A lot of work gone in your department and a lot of future focused work as well. That's good to see. Especially I'm very interested about this integrated transport study and the grants that you're working on and very future focused. And that's good to see that. Yeah, thank you for that report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hearn.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I think it's been said.
Any other councillors? There's no other councillors, so I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? The motion carried. Thank you, Courtney.
Thanks,
We've got a lot of fight with that department. In a good way.
Yes, we do.
Item number 6 is the Facilities and Information Technology Department Activity Report rendered 31st of March. Greg Robertson. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'll go with some highlights, however, not many questions at the end of the report. During the quarter, we continued disappointingly to experience ongoing vandal damage to public facilities and amenities. However, I am pleased to report that in this current quarter we're now in, that damage has dropped off significantly. So we hope to see that trend continuing. We're not sure why, we can't identify a cause for that, but it has dropped off. So I'm pleased to formally report that ahead of next quarter's report. The Aquatic Centre swimming lesson growth has been incredibly pleasing. Lessons are now on offer 7 days a week, which is phenomenal, something the Y has looked at doing for many years, but they've finally got the numbers to offer lessons on Sunday as well. We haven't cracked the 700 enrolments mark. We may not. They are trying to do that. We hope that the 7 day a week swim lessons will do that, but I looked at 10 years of trends, and about this time of year, we actually start to decline, hitting our lowest numbers around September and then gradually growing again until February. So we'll see if we buck the trend, but 700 is the goal. So perhaps around February, we'll exceed the 700 enrolment mark for swim lessons. The highlight I noted in the report was the IT team continuing to strengthen our first line defence against cyber attacks, with new hardware installed and commissioned in our server rooms. That's critical. Cyber attacks are increasing and we've got to be ahead of the game. Pleasing thing is the CODI project has helped us collaborate with neighbouring councils. So we're able to share skills and knowledge amongst the IT teams in the area. So that's helped us a lot. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you, Greg. Questions for Greg, please, councillors? Councillor King and then Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Greg, I just note on page 35 there, the lights across the road from this building have been attacked by some cockatoos. Obviously not enough damage to cause them from being fully unoperating, as they're on right now.
So through you, Mr. Chair, yes, they were. It was minor. We had them reconnected and the cockatoos have now gone away, which is pleasing.
For now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, thanks for the report, Greg. One of the comments allied with the question of the lights in Mayor Street is the question of final road treatments of the ground level lights around the trees in Bridge Street. But this was passed on to me actually that the lights are generally covered with a fair bit of dirt because it's not yet. I'm assuming it's going to be resealed. Perhaps can you confirm what's intended there?
Certainly, through you, Mr. Chair, we understand Vic Roads are undertaking works down the main street, and we believe they're going to be sealed in line with those works. Not confirmed yet, but that offer has been made, which we'll take up, but we're waiting for some more details.
Yes.
So I have a second one. This is a more general question, but one that's been put to me, and that is that the state has issued some directive or other about charging for all council-owned facilities. Can you confirm that that's the situation?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's not crossed my desk, but
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I'm not aware of anything either along those lines.
Thank you for confirming that. Councillor, we've got. That's it. Thank you, Councillor Hone.
Just concerning, through you, Mr. Chair, concerning around the trees, Greg, just wondered, what are we going to do at the base of the trees? I asked this question as I was in New South Wales over the weekend and noticed that they actually use like that soft rubber that's in the playgrounds. And it actually means that if the tree roots actually move, they don't have to break up the whatever solid foundation they may be put over it. So I just wondered, is that something that we've thought of?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so we're looking to put an asphalt mix, but not right up to the trunk. It'll be left as gravel. But we certainly investigate the trout rubber finish. It's not within our budget scope at the moment, but it may be something we could look at in the future.
Yeah, all they do is have a round circle for the tree trunk, and other than that, it's totally sealed around. It's actually quite nice to look at and walk on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hone. Councillor Tolliday.
Thank you, Chair. Greg, just wanting to refer to the swimming lessons. A growth of 106 in 1 quarter is really significant. Do we know what's driving this growth, and has it ever grown this much so quickly before?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Councillor Tolliday. So there are a number of factors around that. We've got a new coordinator at the Y with some new ideas around engaging young people in swimming lessons. So through that new thinking, and also they've had a targeted marketing campaign throughout their enrolments. So we believe both of those have driven numbers. Also offering on a Sunday has also captured a market we didn't previously capture.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no more questions, there's a recommendation on the bottom of page 37 that the report be noted today. Someone move.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, can I jump in one final question? Sorry.
You certainly can, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Just in time.
Thank you. Greg, are you able to provide an update on the airport master plan and where that's up to at this time?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. So we had hoped to go to stakeholder and community consultation on the final draft. We've had a large stakeholder who occupies a large area of a large facility right at the boundary of the airport. They've had some feedback we've needed to consider, but their feedback was late. However, we understand enrolments in that particular organisation are forecast to have a very large growth to them. So we felt it was best to pause, take on board their feedback and factor that into the plan, because that will have implications, particularly on traffic movement around that precinct. So it's very relevant to the plan. So we had to pause it whilst that feedback was considered and our consultants are doing their due diligence. I expect to have the final draft in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we can commence the consultation process after that.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Greg, for the answer. Councillor Hone.
Just through you, Mr. Chair, just a follow up to that, Greg. So will that master plan go back to the airport committee?
So through you, Mr. Chair, yes, the airport committee will be one of the first who will review that, provide input. That's And we've actually held off holding that committee meeting, waiting for this report. It's quite crucial.
Thank you. That was my question. Councillor Robinson and Councillor Robinson. Greg, that was the question about when we'll have the next meeting, so that's good. Thank you. If there's no more late questions, the recommendation is on page 37. That the report be noted. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Tolliday and second by Councillor King. Would you like to speak, Councillor Tolliday?
Yeah, just very briefly. It's good to see that the vandalism in Benalla is slowing down. It's not good to see that it was happening in the first place. But as you said, this quarter, it looks like it's going to be less. So that hopefully some measures have been put in place and the vandals are deterred. So that's good to see. And thank you for the report.
Thank you. Would the seconder like to speak?
I think it's all been said. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And any other councillors would like to speak? If not, I'll put that as a vote. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. And thanks, Greg, for your report tonight and your time. Item number 7 is people and performance department activity report for the quarter ended the 31st of March 2025. Janine McMaster. Thank you, Janine.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to present my report as read. I'll just make a couple of highlights. Customer relations team are continuing to coordinate the request for missed bins. So they're working through these issues with the resource recovery coordinator and also the contractor. I'll just take you over to page 40. In human resources, not a lot to report in there, but I will just mention the workplace incidents. There were 2 workplace incidents for the quarter. Manual handling, no loss of time, the staff are back at work. Payroll, as part of the Cody project, the payroll coordinators continuing to work with Civica on the implementation of our new payroll system, and this should be live towards the end of the year. Over to page 41. The same, our information management coordinator has been going through the same thing, implementing a new records system, which is our SharePoint records hub. That went live on the 8th of January, and she's continuing to work with staff across the organisation, getting them trained up on the usage of that system. Volunteer development, we have a new volunteer development coordinator or officer, who commenced in the role on Monday the 17th of February. So she's becoming familiar with that role. Page 42, last but not least, our library have been busy in January with all their school holiday events. February, they've had author talks. And in March, they had a work experience student who absolutely loved their time in the library and also hosted more author talks. So I'd like to take you to the recommendation on page 44 that the report be noted.
Thank you, Janine. Questions? Councillor King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Janine, just a quick one. Under volunteer development, page 41, the new volunteer development officer commenced in the role in Feb. Is that role specifically aimed at supporting current volunteers and engaging new volunteers?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also through Mr. Chair, also supporting the coordinators of the volunteer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Other questions? I've got one. Janine, is it possible, because we're sort of a small family council in numbers of staff, is it possible when new staff become employed that soon after they can come to council and be introduced to councillors so that we all know who they are and so forth?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we can see if we can facilitate that.
Yeah, I know what the protocol might be there, but it's just quite good to meet and greet new staff when they become employed in whatever department they're in. I don't know if that's,
Can I add to that, please, Mr Chair, if it's possible?
yeah, I don't know the Valley Column.
We're more than happy to facilitate it, however, there is some feedback from staff that they find it extremely daunting. Being a newbie appearing before council, so. I don't know to a council meeting, but we'll try and investigate.
I'm not saying council, but informal.
Informal
Yeah,
somehow
yeah.
that we can,
Yeah.
introduce you to new stuff.
Yeah, well, we have a new one here tonight.
So I know that the chair. That was the previous feedback. We did have difficulty convincing people to,
It's, I think it's something that it probably needs teasing out a
Well,
bit.
whether it's not, maybe if it's not in person, maybe I'll put some, a picture with a briefing and dossier of what they do.
Yeah, fair enough. It's something so you know them.
Yeah.
Okay, and just moving along, I think it's been the most controversial question that night. Councillor King.
Thanks, Mr Chair. One more question. Just for the record, Councillor Davis, we used to do that back in the day. First term of council I was on.
In the
It
past.
was very daunting for.
Thank you, Councillor King.
Janine, one final question. Page 39, the bins, and we can see there's a bit of an increase there of missed bins or partially empty bins. Does that feedback obviously goes to the food waste, the provider around those inquiries we're getting? Yes. Hopefully it helps to iron it out.
Really, Mr Chair, the customer relations coordinator and the resource recovery coordinator and the contractor meet, I believe, on a monthly basis to sort through the issues.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no more questions, Councillor King, you move the recommendation. Thank you. Councillor Ball, are you seconding the recommendation?
Second the recommendation.
Speak, Councillor King.
Briefly to say thank you, Janine, for a great report. And I know that whilst those figures around the bins, you know, it's not great. It is still an area that's a work in progress. But I've seen those drivers jump out, move bins so that the bins are emptied, and you know we do know that they're doing a great job out there. So let's hope we can continue to support them to ease out those little issues. But great report, great to see the staff coming on board. Sad to see those leaving, but overall great report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ball.
Yes, again, thanks very much, Janine, for the report. I echo my colleagues' comments that there's a lot of things happening for staff. I'm looking at the training and upskilling subpara by itself, and that alone is a significant task to organise and facilitate. And of course, for new staff with the inductions, very happy to support the report.
Thank you. If there's no Councillor Cameron, sorry.
I'd like to say a word just to acknowledge the library visitation and increase of the membership and how well that community space being utilised and shared in the community. I want to appreciate that and also thank you for the report.
Thank you. Thank you. If there's no more discussion, or question or answers, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you, Janine. Item number 8, Community Department Activity Report, rendered the 31st of March. Okay.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I'm presenting the report for the Community Department over the last quarter. And of course, I'll take it that you've read it, but we'll highlight a few things. As far as the community development side of things, the family, the Free From Violence program offered internal bystander training for our staff and some community bystander training, which was very well received and actually helped our staff to better understand the skills, to confidently deal with some of those situations. So that was great to offer that, and there was expressions from the community that they'd like to see more of that training. It's also very exciting to see that one of our independence to drive learners actually got their licence over the period. So as you know, that's a pilot that is continuing on a little bit longer. There's a couple of other independence to drive learners who are currently driving in the car, which is great because it's making use of those vehicles that we have. As far as the recreation team, they've been busy working with the open space strategy, which the community consultation commenced over the quarter. And they, of course, have been regularly meeting and working with Valley Sports and a number of sporting groups and organisations. Communications and community engagement, very much a focus over the quarter, as you know, has been working on council plan engagement. But we also launched the new website.
in February. It's good that that website is a little more user friendly and has a little more customer focus. It hasn't been without a few issues, but we have been ironing through those. It is easier to access and has reduced the volume of incoming inquiries. With our community consultation with the council plan, as you know, we've certainly formed a community panel. We've done the survey, we've had workshops, we've had the markets and pop-ups, and you'll see by that picture on page 47 that we're very grateful of the support that councillors have given over that time. I know all of you were involved with the markets and certainly with some of the sessions out in rural communities too. So we're very grateful. We also, staff ourselves, did do some engagement sessions in the schools. And I think, Bernie, you would have seen, some of those suggestions coming back from our young people, because we wanted to make sure that they had a voice in coming through. The comms team also spent an enormous amount of time in preparation for the Benalla Street Art Festival, with all the work that was involved in that. As far as our youth team, it's really pleasing once again to see that 46 new crew members are in our Live for Life projects from FCJ and Benalla P12, and they're actively planning for the launch, which did actually take place last week. It's also pleasing to see that 7 young people got their licence, and we continue to have 20 mentors involved with the program. So it is exciting that the L2P program continues to have such success, with 25 learners currently on the waiting list. So, we've certainly got the numbers. Our Social Inclusion Action Group awarded a number of grants last quarter for things such as the, Scopes Community Colour Splash, which they did in partnership with the police. And we also funded Benalla Street Art Festival Kids Corner and the upcoming Tatham Autumn Vibes, which is on Friday night, which I know some of you will be coming along to. SIAG are also looking at sourcing some quotes for training some workshops out in our community. This is on the basis of some of the feedback we've had, that community would like to have a little bit more skilling up around things like managing conflict with volunteers, some of the new child safe standards, and some of those sort of things. So they're working around trying to accommodate that. Maternal and child health saw 28 births in the quarter. They've currently got 435 children enrolled in the service. And our first time parents group successfully started again this over the quarter, with 9 parents present at the session, which is really pleasing. Family service, we're up to 99.7% of their targets, which is also pleasing, supporting 28 families, which equated to 70 children. And what was really pleasing was 2 families who are currently receiving support have been approved for social housing. And although that's in Wangaratta, the waiting lists for some of our families for getting accommodation are staggering. So our team were really excited, as were the families, of course, that they had finally secured accommodation. Our age-friendly reference group had a facilitated workshop in March. The idea of that was to focus on reviewing and updating the age-friendly action plan and looking at, the role of that group going forward. I'd have to say that that group is one of our very strong groups. They have maintained a strong number since 2017. So, they're very active. The highlight for the quarter is certainly the great success of the Creating Community Connections Expo, which was held at the showgrounds on the 21st of February, attracting over 1,000 people and, some 75 stallholders. There were lots of, the idea behind it was that we showcased the different groups and organisations and what they had to offer in the local community. And despite it being very hot, and our water not working, we just have to resort to bottled water because the contraction wasn't working to actually give water out through the channel that we had wanted. But there was a lovely story that we received because we did seek feedback from, the stallholders who had been there and from different people. And we had a lovely story of an older woman who had moved to, well, she'd actually been in Benalla about 10 years and had been feeling fairly isolated and not linking in. She was able to connect up with 2 services that were at the expo that had, were of interest to her, and she subsequently has joined a couple of groups and is feeling much more connected, which is very much what that whole expo is about. And I think it is pleasing to note that even the community panel in their session had suggested, the need to do these sort of expos again to highlight, even though we are a small community, people often just don't know all that's on offer. So it was a wonderful way to showcase. So I take you to the recommendation on page 53. That the report be noted, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. It's very comprehensively done. Thank you. Councillors. Councillor Hearn.
I'd just like to say, it seems that the Live for Life is going bigger and better, Jane, especially with the inclusion of Christian College. It's fantastic that they have been able to bring all of the schools on board this year. Isn't that right?
Say yes. Thank you. It is really exciting that it's Christian College, so we've got all of the schools involved.
Yeah, amazing.
Thank you, Councillor Hearn. Councillor Ball, do you have a question? Councillor Holiday, you had a question?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Jane, just wanting to talk regarding the council plan, obviously a big piece of work that's currently going on for council staff and councillors. Have we as a council had good community feedback to help us formulate a good council plan this time around?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we have, with the number of workshops and so forth we've done, and the fact that I think it's 226 community surveys were undertaken and over 70 individual one-on-one consultations. And various people have chatted to us too, as you know, when we've been at the different venues and pop-ups and markets and so forth. So I think we have, and of course all of the young people at school. So I feel we have had a good cross-section and a good number of people engaging. We will still have people who say they don't know about it, as we've discussed before, but we certainly have tried. Councillor Holiday.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Chair. Jane, you mentioned the new website for the council. Interesting, there was something that was mentioned not long ago about difficulty, and yet on the other hand, I had a contact talking to me just an hour or two ago about an issue, and he was able to point me or give me a copy of the direct link. I'm not quite sure how he got it, but what's the feedback so far from the community about the webpage?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm not sure that I would have to take that on notice. I'm not aware of there having been a great deal of feedback, but yeah, I can certainly follow that up with the comms team, Councillor.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no more questions, the recommendation is on the bottom of page 53. Could I have someone move that? Councillor King and second Councillor Ball. Folks, please, Councillor.
Briefly, thank you, Mr. Chair. Only to thank Jane for the comprehensive report and the magnitude of work that goes in her portfolio never ceases to amaze me. So well done. But I also want to acknowledge Jane, yourself and your team. Councillors have attended the markets. We've been to our rural communities in the last few weekends on the Friday nights, as well as out to Swampool and Molloola and Battaguinea. And we've been engaging with them throughout the council plan program. And each time we're there, we see council staff there setting up, packing up, being involved. And it really does make our job, I believe, a lot easier having them there and believing in the vision of why we're there. So it's a real credit to, again, yourself and your team. I think this council has been the busiest council I've been involved in some time since we've come on board, and it's because we've got big agenda to do. But again, it's the staff are there with us in going out and engaging. So again, credit to you and to the team. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd echo Councillor King's comments, Jane, and note that your department probably has as many touch points of any department throughout our organisation. And often they're touch points of people who are in particular need of a service, support, or whatever the situation might be. So very important and great to see the diversity of work and the achievements.
Thank you. A couple of council points to speak. Before I put that to the vote, I'd like to say that I've included Warngag now on their Hamlet run. The people understand what I call hamlets, they're little towns, and they're all hamlets for me. And I'm very pleased to say after going out to Warngag on Saturday night that they want to join the Hamlet group and have regular functions out there. So it's fantastic, and I think a lot of that is what Councillor King has spoken about. So well done. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Thanks. But don't go away. You have number 9, which is the quick response grants, which is a very good project too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Chair. The report presents funding applications under the 24-25 quick response grants, and this time we have 3 applications. The first is from the Gurumbat Veterans Retreat, and they are seeking $500 to cover the costs or help cover the costs of the 2025 Anzac Day charity golf tournament, which was actually held on Anzac Day, bringing together veterans, families and community members to honour the current and past service personnel. They actually had 74 people register and attend, and said the day was a huge success. The funding would be used to help cover the costs, which of course far exceed the $500. The rest is covered by the Gurumbat Veterans Retreat. Now I will highlight that of course this is retrospective, but the grant application was submitted in time that it's, it was missed the reporting cycle. So it wasn't able to until after, and the Gurumbat Veterans Retreat were advised of that, but a very successful event. The second one is the Benalla Sustainable Future Group, who are again applying for $500 for the Swanpool Environmental Film Festival, which has been held a number of years now on the 14th of June to coincide with World Environment Day. This is to foster continued community engagement on environmental issues and sustainable living. They have films and guest speakers, all held, of course, at the Swanpool Cinema. So the grant helps cover the event costs for the licensing and promotional materials and catering. They are also getting sponsorship from others, but a very worthy cause there. The third is the Cake Decorators Association of Victoria. They're also seeking $500 to assist with the cover of hiring a larger venue for their workshops. They're growing membership, and the grant will actually help support with venue hire so that more people can participate and it can be more inclusive. So just going over to the recommendation on page 57, that $500 be awarded to each of those organisations upon your approval.
Thank you, Jane. Questions, please, councillors.
Sorry, Chair, but I belatedly recognise that I should have declared an interest and vacate the chamber before a decision made on this, by connection with the Benalla Sustainable Future Group.
Thank you. The board. Thank you. No questions for Jane on this? No. And I've got one. I'm just disappointed I haven't been invited to the Cake Decorators Association, because I've been involved there a couple of years before that, and they make very good product.
We'll make sure we try and get you through an invitation.
Can someone move that? Councillor and Councillor Gunnar, so speak, Councillor.
Just to say, very worthy 3 groups that deserve a bit of help. Also would like to say I did see a bit about the golf event, and it did go very well attended. Happy to support.
Thank you, Councillor Gunnar.
Thank you, Chair. Briefly to say, all projects are very well worth. The community projects run by volunteers in the community. I have very good respect for people who are involved in running events like this. And this grant program that the council running for this year has been really helpful. The 15,000 so far, we allocated 9,791. And with that, this $1,500, it will be nearly 11,300. There's still a little bit of money left, 3,500 for the next few weeks. If any community groups are willing to put an application and or something worthy of doing in this financial year before we get to the 30th of June, would like to encourage anyone watching the meetings today to get together in community groups and use this funding.
Thank you, councillor Rodney. Councillor Toller, did you have anything to add? Thank you. I'll put that recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Carried.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm a late exclusion for point 10.
Yes.
I've got a conflict of interest around the planning permit.
They've been leaving vacating.
On your way out, can you let that council walk?
Do you want me to explain why or do you?
Yes, do.
It's just regarding the childcare centre in Inglis Road. I actually made a submission to that, so.
Thank you, councillor. Thank you, Milish. Which one? We get the best to the last. Sorry, yeah, I'll retract that statement. I said, I'm not to say that in public. Council board that a recommendation was passed.
Thank you, Chair.
Right, Milish, would you like to proceed, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, present to the Finance and Planning Committee the monthly report for planning and building activity for March 2025. There were 7 planning permits and 1 big smart permit decided under officer delegation. There was 1 notice of decision issued and determined by council. There were 20 building permits issued within the municipality totaling $3.64 million. There has been a reduction in building activity in general, and subdivisions or large development in general. However, in saying that, there were 7 houses, new houses approved out of the 20 building permits approved, which is still positive news. The recommendation is for page 64 for your consideration.
Thank you, Milish. Questions? Councillor King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Milish, I do note, and it was one of our councillors' reasons for leaving, on page 59, the use of land for a childcare centre, it says refuse. So does that mean they've put in an application and it's been knocked back?
Mr. Chair, yes, that has been, that's been knocked back on the reason that there wasn't further information provided for that.
Oh, okay.
So that under officer delegation, they didn't submit a full application, so we couldn't do an assessment.
Okay. And just a follow-up question, if I may, Mr. Chair. So are they required now to resubmit an application with all that info, or is there sort of a period now that they can't?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, no, that's it. That's the decision's been made. We've had informal discussions with them outside this permit application. We didn't get any correspondence from them after they put this application. There was nothing. We've written to them 3 or 4 further information letters. We give people advance warning before we refuse any application. At least 3 times we get into contact. There was 0 contact from.
Okay.
And it was subject to this planning permit and the purchase of the land.
Okay.
So definitely, and we flagged to them initially that was not supportive of what council planning policy was.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Okay, councillor Bob. Any councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Let's note the subdivision is in the March quarter. I'm assuming now we've passed the period of issuing an application to ECAT for review of the decision, or factually didn't notice of determination to make a decision. Past the time period.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, it has. The next cycle report will show. Permit.
The second question, if I may, I noticed the applications, the outstanding applications seem to be gradually trending up. No doubt there are plans in place to address that, but I'd like to know if you're taking action to bring those under a downward trend.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there was a lot of interim positions going around during that time. That's why it's gone up. It will go down as we now settle back into our normal.
Thank you.
Councillor Gunn.
Thank you, Chair. Just to follow up on the answer to the childcare centre question from Councillor King. Just before we heard there was a submission probably from the public. So did the application go to the public submission stage, and then after that the applicant will respond?
Through Mr. Chair, yes, that was we asked for further information. There was objections. We didn't advertise because we didn't have the full application, but people were aware that this was occurring in the neighbourhood.
Yeah.
So we started getting submissions before the actual application was advertised.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tollard, do you have a question? Just a question from the chair, Nilesh, just with a little downturn in the industry at the moment, just with the economy the way it is at the moment, is it giving your department a bit of time to clean up, to get ahead with your housekeeping and so forth?
Dear Mr. Chair, now that we've got heaps of permits we did within the previous year,
Yes.
they still need inspecting and completing. This is just catching up probably on that. However, we are wary that a downward trend on interest rate, and with a few more subdivisions coming online, that it will go up again. So we just we know there's a few subdivisions at various stages, that once they're opened up, then we'll have more work.
So quiet is not the word.
So quiet.
Is in your
Quiet
vocabulary.
is not the word. Yes.
Thank you. Could I have your moving or moving? Councillor Moore's moving the recommendation. Can I, Councillor Gunnar, seconding the recommendation? I would like to speak, Councillor Moore.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just to note that I'm acutely aware of the effort that goes into producing a report of this nature, given the extent of work involved, and appreciate it. Thank you, Nilesh.
Councillor Gunnar.
Again, thank you and for the great effort and all the work that's gone into building and planning. Thank you very much for the report as well, very detailed.
So if there's no more, there's a recommendation on page 68 that the report be noted. Thank you. Carried. Thanks very much. And I usually. Thank you, Councillor Merkel. That recommendation is carried. Thank you. Item number 12 that I normally forget about.
11.
The urgent business.
11.
Sorry, I left 11 out.
Twice.
Oh, sorry, Nilesh.
Well, I couldn't get rid of it. Hang on now.
Well done. I knew we had 2 items on. Yeah. My apologies, please, from the chair. I didn't want you waiting around for one item. Item number 11, Development Department Activity Report for the quarter ending 31st of March. And I did read it. I just missed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very Mr. Chair, I present to the Finance and Planning Committee the quarterly report for the development. Working away on the heritage study with the funding we've received from the Regional Planning Hub. We've also been working on the West Manoa Growth Plan. There's a lot of technical that have to be completed. They'll be applying for further funding, to complete further technical work. And this is will inform our use planning, which the state government has projected council's target is 1,700 new houses by 2051. So that's what our target is, and that's what we're doing all this strategic work for. The planning staff also won an award for rural area category dealing with subdivision applications. This is interesting. We don't know who nominated our planning staff. And when you consider our planning staff in relation to other councils, we've got others average 5 staff per department. We've got 2 staff for the unit. So it was the staff attended the surveyor's inaugural presentation, got their awards back to Benalla. There were 32 applications received during the quarter, and as highlighted previously, we've made 15 decisions, or 15 applications were decided. This is due to people working in interim roles, and there's a backlog. We will attend to that now. Go back to our normal roles. 76% of these applications were issued within the 60 statutory days. There were 15 building permits issued and 128 building inspections done. So this is the permits we've currently issued, but the inspections relate to permits we've issued 2 years ago, from 3 years ago. So we're still doing those inspections. Those houses are still being built. In total, within the municipality, there was a total of 64 building permits approved for the quarter, which is amazing for a town like Benalla to have those. And over 40% were new houses. There were 70 domestic animal cases attended to by our compliance department, and 18 dogs and cats were rehomed. There were 4 fee waivers provided during the quarter. There is a correction in number 2, which is Alexander Group Building Surveys. It should be Director of Housing rather than Direction of Housing. The Director of Housing is exempt from any council fees, so we don't get any income out of those projects. There has been a deficit reported in the financials, and this is due to the use of contractors for building permits, as well as backfilling our planning area in limited capacity. The recommendation is on page 6 of that for the committee's consideration.
Thank you, Militia. My apologies for leaving your items. Councillors, can I have questions, please, from the Lord? Councillor Bloor.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think there's some significant achievements there in this department, which we really need to note, especially given that planning is often one of the, if I can use a vernacular, whipping boys of council. So it's very pleasing to see in the public health arena and in the planning, statutory planning arena that successes have been gained, and that needs to be brought to the attention, I believe, of the community. May I ask a question? Thank you, Chair. I just noted that in the emergency management section of your report, there was a review of neighbourhood safer places plan. When Councillor Tolliday and I read that, we noted that somewhat of an anomaly with the old hall, which is closed, apparently by order of the local committee, being still signed as the neighbourhood safer place. Is there any resolution to that signage? It seemed to be misleading now, given the hall is no longer available for such use, at least in the short term.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there has been an update provided by the whole committee that it will be functioning, I believe, by September. The other question on the moving of the neighbourhood safer place, the other parcel of land is under private holding as such. So It's not a council or a state government land as such, so there's implications moving a neighborhood safer place to a private land. So we're working through that, so hopefully it goes back, the whole committee is assured that it'll be functioning.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to elaborate a bit on that, is that the ground, the private land that you mentioned?
Yeah, Mr. Chair is correct.
Thank you. If there's no further questions, councillor Soliday, are you moving that recommendation? Thank you. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Murphy. So to speak, councillor.
Yes, very briefly, Nilesh, it's great to see you back in your home role. Thank you for both of your reports, and yeah, thank you for the efforts that you've put into them, and the update you've given on the reports as well.
Thank you, councillor. Local.
No, thanks, I'm fine.
Yes, councillor Gillan-Ratney.
I'd like to quickly congratulate the team for winning this amazing award, and it was delighted to see that on the newspaper. Well done, well deserved that. Thank you very much.
And I have noticed from the chair that Alicia's very comfortable back in his position. If there's no more, I'll put that recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. And where I was up to before, when I jumped the queue, I'll go to item number 12, which is urgent business. We don't mill urgent business, okay? And I'm going to close the meeting at 7:21.
21.
Thank you to
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Nilesh.
you, Robert.
Thank you, Nilesh.
Yeah, it's like